Hey everybody, it's Rebecca Johnson of Supergirl Radio. I'm just getting the live stream started here, so we'll get started officially here in a little bit when Morgan joins me. It's strange being on the live stream with my headphones over this Santa hat. Tried to be a little festive, but it sounds weird because it's like coming through the Santa hat. So, so I hope and anticipate that my microphone is working properly. I'm trying to monitor it through a Santa hat. So hopefully that sounds okay. Let me know if it sounds weird or it sounds abnormal. Please let me know. But just getting the stream started here. So we'll get into things in a few minutes. And we have some news to cover. We're going to announce our Flat Supergirl winner. So we've picked a winner. So we are going to announce who that is and what they will be receiving. And then we also are going to talk about some Supergirl Blu-ray and DVD news. Some of that came out today. Something I didn't anticipate, but it did kind of make sense when when the news came out. So we'll talk about that as well. The chat says I sound good. If I sound like I normally do for all the Supergirl Radio regulars, that's a good sign, because sometimes if I don't have the setting correctly, it takes it off my MacBook microphone. So I don't want that. So if it sounds good to y'all, I'm gonna trust y'all on that. If you have any questions in the meantime or comments about anything, please let me know in the chat, and we'll get to those before we get started. But this is going to be kind of just a fun Christmas live stream. We started doing these last year in 2020, December 2020. We reviewed A Princess for Christmas with Kay McGrath. And so this time around, we're going to do Holly and Ivy with Jeremy Jordan. So it looks like Morgan is there. Morgan, wave at me if you're ready. Okay. All right. So Morgan is here, and I love the headpiece.
Trying to stay festive, trying to bring some holiday cheer. I staged behind me, as you can see.
Nice.
So Rudolph has been joined by this Christmas tree.
Oh,
right
yeah.
there. So we've got Rudolph. He's on a sled. He's got a Christmas tree. Behind him, another Christmas tree.
Okay, so who's that does that Christmas tree belong to anybody?
That Christmas tree is its own tree. It's a strong, independent tree, and it don't need no man.
All right. Well, I won't question
that tree's not putting labels on its relationship right now.
I won't question it further. Okay. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get started. So grab some hot cocoa. I've already had one cup of hot chocolate. So
I was going to do hot chocolate.
I'm going to go for two.
So I decided to do tea instead.
Oh, that's probably
I couldn't
better
find
for you.
Hot chocolate. So this is my steeper. It's a cat. Just popping out of
I love it. It's popping
out of the cup. I'll show it later. It's steeping still in the process.
That's nice. Well, I'm going to be on my second cup of hot chocolate, so hopefully that will be okay.
When that sugar hits, all bets are off.
I might just fall asleep. I might just hit that high and then go right to sleep. But okay, so we are going to get started here. So we will, if I can find it, I'll get our live stream intro going, and we will be back momentarily.
I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
McGurk! I love typing.
Not mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor at Boardroom or Ballroom. Because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired on YouTube and Facebook. I want to make that clear because we had some people recently who said, I just now discovered that you are doing live streams. So I want to make sure that people know YouTube and Facebook.
Facebook.
YouTube.com/DCTV podcast and Facebook.com/Supergirl Radio. So we are live and wired on YouTube and Facebook. I should maybe just add that in for now and forever so that people know. And we are going to be doing our last episode of 2021. Also need to make that very clear. This is not the last episode of Supergirl Radio.
Just 2021. Again, this would be a weird series finale for our show. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. So we will be back in 2022. But for 2021, this is the last episode. But we are going to be discussing and reviewing Holly and Ivy, a Christmas movie starring Supergirl's Jeremy Jordan. And we kind of narrowed our Christmas movie selections down to 4. And then we had Twitter vote on it. So
there was a real upset with Buttons, which was the movie I assumed I was going to be watching.
Yeah, we thought Buttons was going to be the winner, but Holly and Ivy came from behind to win it all kind of at the last minute. So congrats to the Jeremy Jordan fans for really pulling it together.
They rallied.
So on their behalf, we are going to be talking about Holly and Ivy for our final episode of 2021. But before we get to having that discussion, we need to get to
the news.
Well, it is time. It is time to announce our Flat Supergirl Photography Contest winner. So if you've been following along, we asked you to print out a photo of Flat Supergirl and just cut around her and put her on a popsicle stick and then take her with you on your travels as you journey through this big scary world of ours. And we suggested a wide variety of things that you could do with Flat Supergirl, places you could go, secrets you could share with Flat Supergirl. She's not going to tell anybody she's made of paper. Yeah, she's fine. But we've all had some great times with Flat Supergirl. But I think it's finally time. The series has ended, and it's time for us to announce our winner. Now, we got a lot of great entries. Flat Supergirl did a lot of things the last couple months.
Yeah, talk about variety. She did a lot of things.
More things than I've probably done the last couple of months. She saw some things. She took in some sights. She hung out with some friends. So we are very proud to congratulate the winner of the Flat Supergirl contest. Congratulations to real life zookeeper at Theater Penguin 7 on Instagram.
Yeah.
We will be contacting you to get your information so we can arrange your prize.
Yes. Thank you for your submission with Flat Supergirl meeting in Penguin. We thought that was pretty unique and fun and really kind of put Flat Supergirl in a dangerous situation, but it seems like she got out of it okay. So.
Flat Supergirl met her biggest challenge yet.
So we enjoyed that, and we will be contacting you, and we'll basically what we're going to do is we're going to have you pick something out of the TeePublic store, and we will get that sent to you. So the prize really is up to you. So just be looking at the
Ooh.
T Public store, and we'll get you to give us your selection, and we'll have that sent out to you. All right, and the second bit of news that we have is something that would be exciting for Supergirl fans. It's the DVD and Blu-ray announcement. So, after 6 supercharged seasons, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment and DC mark the end of an epic era with the final installment of the action-packed series, with the release of Supergirl, the 6th and final season, on Blu-ray and DVD on March 8th. 2022. Fans can purchase the sets which, in addition to all 20 super-powered episodes from season 6, also contains an all-new featurette and deleted scenes, not just one deleted scene. There are apparently multiple. Supergirl, the 6th and final season, is priced to own at $24.98 for the DVD and $29.98 for the Blu-ray. Of course, prices will vary depending on where you live and what country you're in, and will also include a digital copy, just US only, though. Supergirl, the 6th and final season, is also available to own on digital via purchase from digital retailers. And something that I was surprised by, but I really shouldn't have, because this is something that they would probably do for all TV shows. They're also offering a Supergirl the Complete series, which will also be available, containing all 126 exhilarating episodes from the phenomenal series. Wow, the person who wrote this, man, they're selling it.
They were like, you know what I love? Adjectives.
As well as countless hours of bonus features from all 6 epic, not to be missed seasons. I mean, you can maybe miss season 5 a little bit, but but this says not to be missed seasons. Supergirl the Complete series is priced to own on DVD for $119.99 and on Blu-ray for $134.99. Of course, as the Blu-ray for season 6, prices will vary depending on your country and where you live, representing a substantial savings over purchasing all 6 seasons individually. So if you want to get the entire series on Blu-ray, the Complete series seems to be the way to go. I actually really like the cover of the Complete series Blu-ray. Where has that been?
I do too. And you know, one of the things I like about it, it's Supergirl on that cover. It's just her.
It's just Supergirl.
It's almost like it's her show.
Almost. But I mean, maybe this is just me critiquing design choices, but when you look at the season 6 cover and then you look at the Complete series, there's some big changes there that I think were made for the better for the Complete series. So I don't know. It's interesting, the design choices that went in behind these posters and these covers for these sets.
I wonder why they decided on the bangs as her legacy.
Yeah, because she
was mostly non-banged. I feel like this is giving you a false impression of what the series that you're gonna get. You're gonna get on episode 1. You're gonna be like, where are the bangs? You're gonna get like deep into the series, and you're gonna be like, where do these bangs pop up?
And they don't pop up until season 5,
and it's not for very long.
Yeah, it goes away towards the beginning of season 6 because the Phantom Zone took the bangs away. My only guess is that that's the photo shoot that they had.
I'm guessing that as well.
That was the last time they did like a big promotional shoot, was in season 5 with the bangs, because that was the season that she got the pants, so that would have been a big deal that they would have taken pictures for. But yeah, so that's exciting for people who collect and still like to have physical media. That's a good choice. I still like to have a Blu-ray. It's always better video quality.
I do too. Other people I know maybe are against it.
I'm not naming any names.
Maybe they're like, why do you have so many DVDs? And I'm like, you never know when I want to watch Angel season 2, Michael. I don't know who I could be talking about though. No names named.
Yeah, so in my personal opinion, Blu-rays are going to have better video quality than trying to buffer on your streaming.
Agreed.
So yeah, it's always going to be encoded a little bit better. All right, so I think, Morgan, we should get to why everybody's joined us, why they've all worn their ugly Christmas sweaters, I'm assuming.
I feel like let's start out from a place that is seasonal. Take me through your sweater, perhaps.
Well, actually, I found some Superman Christmas sweaters, and this one says, I guess I could make it bigger because it might be easier to see. It says bad guys get coal.
Oh,
I like, and then it also, you can't see, but on the back it has like a big S shield. But yeah, it's Superman on the front. So I thought that was pretty festive. I enjoyed that.
very festive. I love it.
Yeah. So
I have got my my dinosaur holiday sweater on here.
which right out of the book of Luke.
Exactly. They are like, hey, I heard a child is born this way. They're going to decorate the tree. This one hasn't completed his Christmas shopping yet, so he's got to get to the mall. This one's always so late on Christmas shopping. And then I've got my little holly headband here. The fine craftsmanship of whatever store in the mall sells these things for like $2. and then just to be more seasonal,
I remember the penguin.
I'm drinking tea out of my handy penguin in a scarf mug. See, it's kind of like
it's penguinception.
It's kind of like teaception in a way, because if you see, he's drinking tea, and then I'm also drinking tea. This cat, it would only be better if the cat that was steeping the tea was also drinking tea. And it would be almost too much. So many layers deep. We're never getting out.
Yeah, so we're wearing our ugly Christmas sweaters, and hope you, if you are watching this with us live, that you wore your ugly Christmas sweaters as well. So speaking of ugly Christmas sweaters, I guess I guess that could take us. That's a really bad segue into
beautiful segue.
not really. Let's just be honest. into our main discussion, which is about Holly and Ivy, the Christmas movie from Hallmark starring Jeremy Jordan. And I wanted to start our discussion about it with the poster, looking at the poster.
Oh, okay.
Because
interesting.
When you look at this poster for Holly and Ivy Morgan, what do you think? What do you think is happening in that poster?
Well, I think it's great that Jeremy Jordan has found love with that lady at the bottom, first of all. And but I think it's weird that lady at the top is just kind of like lording it over. Who is she? Is she an angel? Is she God? We don't know yet. We haven't found out. Is she the very spirit of Christmas? Maybe. Is she Holly or Ivy? Who knows? But I'm glad that those two at the bottom have found each other.
They do look like a happy family. Which
they sure do.
Which is so misleading, and that's why I wanted to bring it up with the post. I was like, who talking about poster design? Like, who decided that choice? I have questions. That's maybe not the way I would go about it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a. It also, there's like a Christmas tree in the corner, but it's completely cut off, so we don't get the top of the tree. We just get like Mona from Pretty Little Liars, like just really psyched to be there. And so I have many questions.
I mean, I don't know what my design choice would be, but maybe keep it simple. There's actually no Holly and or Ivy in the poster.
Yeah,
which would maybe have been my choice.
Yeah, I probably would have put either of those two elements in the poster. I think that's where I would have started from. I would have started from a basis of Holly and or Ivy.
Yeah, I just thought it was so misleading because I kept looking at that poster and I was like, wait, that really looks like Jeremy Jordan is with that other lady. And that's not what happens at all in this movie.
So I actually have a fun discussion point that would also start us into this movie. So
okay.
I want to know, on the Jeremy Jordan scale of sad win, bad win, or like dad win,
yeah.
Where do we think he falls on this scale in this movie?
Oh. I mean, probably dad win. I would think, yeah.
That was my thought too. I think he starts out a little sad win.
He's
if I'm
little
being
sad
honest.
win, yeah.
But by the end, spoiler alert, he's morphed into dad win. And I think that's kind of his final form in this movie, and I'm glad for him.
I was a little worried that he was going to become bad win because when he takes that other lady to the coffee shop,
I know,
to get the hot chocolate, I was
not
like,
the best hot chocolate.
No,
I also love that she got to overhear him like just reusing lines. Like she thought that was something special that he did when he was flirting, but it turns out he just does that whenever he's turning on the charm. He's like, "Have you heard of this hot chocolate?"
He's really probably just that place's like personal salesman.
He's
And
like, I'm sorry, they actually pay me a commission.
So that's why you should get the large.
Yeah, you're always gonna want to spring for the large. And then he like winks. He winks at everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just wanted to get your opinion on that poster because I thought that was a strange choice, but it is what it is. And CM Gutier 74 says that's why it's a Hallmark mystery. So I guess
Indeed.
that's a good point. All right, so we've talked a little bit about some of the story elements here in Holly and Ivy. So Morgan, what did you think about the actual story that we were presented? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I actually enjoy. I'll go ahead and say I enjoyed Holly and Ivy.
I did too.
I thought I was going in for kind of a different movie. I wasn't really sure what it was going to be about, but I was like, oh, it's going to be one of these fun, cheesy Hallmark movies, and absolutely, it was all of those things. But it was a lot sadder than I thought it was, and also kind of less of a romance than I thought it was.
Like, oh yeah, no, they don't even kiss in the movie, right?
They finally kiss at the end, and I was like, oh, cool. But like he's just about to like propose to her, and we had not seen a kiss yet.
No.
And so I thought I was going in for, kind of the cheesy Hallmark rom-com, and it was more like, like a girl moves to a small town and befriends the neighbor and then ends up having to adopt the neighbor's children. And also there's a lot of content about libraries, the state of libraries in this country is not, according to Holly and Ivy, it's not going well. Let me tell you me. And it's a lot about having big dreams, but then also being able to afford to care for children. So it's a lot of like reach for the stars, but be practical. Your adopted children need to eat, which is usually, I'm not saying that's a bad message. I think that's a pretty practical message.
It's a good message, yeah.
A good message. Not a message I expect from a Hallmark Christmas movie, though. I'm going to be honest. I thought she was going to be like, you know what? I don't care that this house is falling down around me, and I don't care that I have these soon-to-be orphan children to take care of. My dream is the library, and I'll continue working for free. I'll work for free every day, Patricia. I'll show up, and I'll haunt your dreams, Patricia. I thought that she was going to be like, oh, good. The library won't hire me. I'll build my own library. Give me a 2x4, Jeremy Jordan. Let's go.
But she kind of does build her own library.
She kind of does, but at least she has presumably a job that pays her.
And since we're talking about the library, is the book elf that, and I think that's what she names it at the end.
Yeah.
Is her bookmobile, the book elf, is it in competition with Patricia in the library? Or is it part of Patricia's library?
I think when that's a good question. Is it part of the library system? Is it getting federal grant money? Or, and this is not a question I thought I'd ever have about Hallmark movie. It's let's get into the weeds on their grant funding situation. This is what we bring to Supergirl Radio. It's what's the most boring, dry aspect of this story? Morgan wants to know more about it because believe me, if you don't think I'm going on a real estate tirade in a couple of minutes, you don't know me at all. But yeah, so I think the good question is is the book elf, is the mobile library, is it part of the system, the library system of that area, or is it an independent non-for-profit operator? How are they getting their funding?
Where are the books coming from? Are they just Melody's books?
Or are they lending them out? Yeah. Are they giving the books? If they're giving the books, where is she getting the money to constantly buy these books?
I don't know.
Questions.
I don't know. I want to believe that she's just an extension of what Patricia's doing at the library.
Okay, so
because Patricia was really nice to her, and I would hate it if Melody went behind her back.
I mean, Patricia was medium nice to somebody who was offering free labor. And listen, Rebecca can attest to this. I was immediately on Patricia's side. I was texting Rebecca last night, why is she bothering poor Patricia? And Rebecca's is this a text message for the wrong person? And I was like,
I had no idea what you were talking about. I was like,
Rebecca, I want to talk about the library. Why don't you know what I'm talking about? Because immediately she comes in pretty hot on Patricia, and I'm on Patricia's side at that point. She's like,
can you I hate to interrupt you, but she does come in hot because she basically gets told we don't have any money, we have no job options, and she's like, but what if you did? Like, she kind of bullies her way into getting a job at the library.
It's my favorite thing because, okay, getting a job at the library is a misnomer because she is literally never paid by that library. Not once. But Patricia's pretty upfront. She's like, listen, I love your energy. It scares me. And I honestly want you to take a couple steps away from me, Patricia. But I would hire you if I could. But this library has no funding. Like, literally, they are paying me, Patricia, in Skittles. And I can only eat so many. I can only taste so much rainbow. Okay. So, like, I don't have a job for you. And then like a kindly lady like walks in the background. She's like, give her a job. It's the holidays. And Patricia's like, literally, not how federal funding works. And meanwhile, Melody, who is our main character, is like, okay, I've got a proposal. What if I volunteer here for free? Patricia's like, okay, I can deal with that. And I put together a program for free. And Patricia's like, okay, live and all of that. And if this program goes great, Patricia's like, I don't like where this is going. And she's like, if the program goes great, you'll hire me. And Patricia's like, at no point can I do that? Or did I agree to do that? And Melody's like, great, we're on the same page. See you later, Patricia.
That's literally what happened. Like, we're not just exaggerating. That's what happened.
No, I just like line for line just read you a scene from this movie. But then so I start out on Patricia's side. I kind of had a Patricia sliding scale because I start out 100% on Patricia's side. This woman's a maniac. But about halfway through the movie, she's continuing to just work for free. She's at no point is she paid by this library.
She's a great volunteer.
Sometimes she talks about her job at the library, but then she always clarifies, now that they're paying me. It's like, no, that's not a job. But I digress. So at like a midpoint in the movie, she shows up to the library and Patricia's like, listen, Melody, come here, look at me. I'm never paying you. Melody's like, that's cool. I don't need money to survive somehow. And you're like, all right. And then Patricia's like, no. I don't even want you to be here for free anymore. We can't afford to have you here for free. We can't afford your energy. We can't afford you like bringing your own arts and crafts supplies that you bought yourself. We don't want them in there. We don't want the joy of the children's faces. We don't want any of this. We don't
want you to create programs to get people to come to the library.
And Melody's like, I'm sorry, but Patricia, they're free programs. I'm doing it just for free. Patricia's like, we can't have it. I'm sorry. The state said we can't have it. And Melody's like, I know that that's not true. So at a midpoint in the movie, it becomes like a personal beef of Patricia's. That's not how the movie presents it, but it's how I interpret it.
It was kind of like that, though.
And my favorite part is like towards the end where Patricia's like, listen, we can't hire you. And now we can't even have you in the library. Like, honestly, you must not darken our door anymore. And Melody's like, well, I had this whole idea of this plan, this whole program set up. Patricia turns around. She looks behind her. She looks back. She's like, sorry, the big guy over there. He says no. And like, this guy over there is probably just eating a sandwich. Like, that guy over there probably doesn't even work at the library. Patricia just informed us that she's like the only one that works there and they're not even paying her. And she's like, sorry, he said, not me, Patricia.
Yeah, it's not me turning you down.
I love you. I just need you out of here.
Yeah, it was kind of mind-boggling that Patricia would reject a volunteer. No nonprofit would be like, oh, you want to volunteer? We don't want you.
Oh, you want to develop a program for free and then bring your own supplies that we don't have to pay for and like give time from your own schedule? No, not
get
for
out
us.
of here.
The state says it's not allowed. It's like, that's Patricia. Patricia is the one who says it's not allowed.
She comes around though a little bit at the end.
She
I
does
don't know
help
if
her.
she's accepted the book elf though.
She does. That's what I want. I want a spin-off, and it's just about like the slow simmering beef between Patricia and Melody, and like that they've got like kind of a Shark's Jet situation, but with the two different libraries that like slowly starts to escalate. Because she does help her build the house. So I was like, oh, I guess Patricia's coming around, but like maybe she's just like, hey, you should spend more time here. It's lovely now. It's lovely and warm.
You can read
Unlike
your
the
books
library.
in your house. You don't have to go to the
What if you
library.
just read here and you just never spoke to me in the library again? I want Patricia's like villain origin story, and I think it starts with Melody like just shoving that resume in her face. I've got ideas, and she's like, "Sure you do."
Yeah. So speaking of the library situation, do you think Melody maybe as a character talked about libraries and being a librarian and books too much?
Is there a too much to mention libraries and books and liking books and wanting to be a librarian and liking libraries? Because to Melody, there is no limit. It is her whole life in a way where that's really the only thing that we know about Melody. We know that she had a sad childhood. She likes Wynn's furniture.
She collects elves.
She collects elves.
It's an elf collection.
And she loves libraries. She loves books. You just mentioned a book. She's got a book. So, I mean, I kind of wish she had like one other interest. I mean, I like books, but I have other interests.
It just seemed to be a little much. I know it's a Hallmark movie, so I don't expect like quality, right? Like, I expect it to be a little bit cheesy in that regard. But I was like, gosh, she talks about books all the time. I mean, I guess people who really, maybe I can't identify with that because I have such a hard time reading books because I never finish the ones that I start. So maybe I conflict with all the talk about books.
I totally got
to
her.
finish
I was
books,
like,
yeah.
I also love books, Melody, but you just really need to take it like one step back on the books and just one other hobby. But her other hobby, I'm lying because she does have another hobby, and it's redoing her house. So obviously I have a lot of questions about this. What is her employment history? Because it sounds like she just got out of college, but that cannot be true.
Where is she getting the money? She's like a foster kid.
Her tragic backstory is that she grew up in foster care and like had to work her way through everything, including college. But then somehow she has money to buy this decrepit old house, which, okay, I guess it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, maybe they sold it cheap.
But one has to assume she did it with the idea of fixing it up, which is not cheap. Not at all. And so that kind of made me wonder, like, what? Well, like, she moves to a town without
she had no job when she got there.
So that's kind of yes and no, because she explains that she did actually have a job and
but
they
it, like, fell through or something.
It. Yeah. And like, does that happen often? Like, a place makes you a job offer, you accept, you buy a rickety old shack in the corner with like a Victorian mansion that's falling apart, and then they just go, oopsie daisies, guess we don't have the budget either. Those darn state cuts. And it's like, how many things are you blaming on this state?
Do you think it was Patricia?
It was Patricia.
Do you think she made it fall through? Maybe she heard about this new librarian who's coming to
She's like, no, I'm the only librarian in town. I bet like Patricia like goes to the other libraries and like just messes up their Dewey Decimal systems. They're like, how does this keep happening? And she's like, Patricia, and she like she just disappears in like a puff of smoke. Yeah, it's the whole setup financially didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, that house that she bought, like, she's like, oh yeah, that old fixer-upper, that thing was huge.
That thing was big.
a massive, massive house, and it was like clearly falling apart. But how do you look at that house and think, oh, that'll be a quick, easy one to restore?
She was just going to replace a doorknob every now and then.
When she starts in the movie, her first thing is, I'm going to replace a doorknob. So this is where the movies began to lose me on the real estate aspect, because as somebody who is looking at the real estate market and being like, I guess I'll just live in this condo forever. She goes at, like, she buys the house. She goes to the hardware store where she has her meet cute with Jeremy Jordan. At that point, sad win.
Yes.
And she's like, well, that's the doorknob that I want, but this is the doorknob that I can afford. And I was like, girl, if you're talking about what kind of doorknobs you can afford,
You can't afford much.
You're not fixing that house. You're going to live in that thing with like a wall open. You're going to freeze in the winter like a little matchstick girl. Like, what is happening?
But they did in the end. I don't know if we want to fast forward to the end, but they did fix it up to look pretty nice. They got it together. I guess that's what you get when you get like free
I guess,
cheap labor from people who
labor,
you've only known for like a couple of weeks maybe.
I guess the labor is probably one of the more expensive aspects of like flipping a house, and she was planning on doing it herself. But even still, I feel like are all the electrical, she does mention getting an electrician, thank God.
Yes.
'Cause she's like, Win, get in there, and he's like, "Whoa," and the house explodes, and that's the end. But but yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, because she didn't have the money for, I hate to belabor this point, but she didn't have the money to barely buy a doorknob in the beginning of the movie, and then suddenly she has to flip the whole house all at once, because my assumption was she was going to live in this kind of rundown house and just like update it a little bit at a time.
Well,
as
that's
she had
what
the
you
money.
would normally do. Yeah.
I mean, you would normally probably like have a job lined up and stop annoying Patricia at the library.
It does get fast tracked though.
Yeah, but at the end, it's like, so I was like, well, that's a huge expenditure all at once. Like, unless everybody chipped in together to like buy her lumber or whatever, which is like at a premium right now. I don't know how she's paying for that.
Well, I do wonder because we know that I want to call him Win, but it's not. His name is Adam in the movie. Jeremy Jordan's character Adam. His parents own a car dealership, so they seem to pretty.
And they like
money.
to give back to the community. They do give her.
So maybe they paid for the supplies.
I can buy that. They pay for this material. Everybody helps out and helps her get the house back in order. I mean, it doesn't always answer all my questions, like, how were the bathrooms? Were they functional? Those things are expensive to. It's okay. It's not HGTV. I'm not watching HGTV. These aren't the Property Brothers. It's livable and apparently passed an inspection, and that's really what
it's up to code. So I think it's fine.
You need it. I loved her stove too. I was like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like actually how old that stove was, or if that was like a replica, because it was like, if you bought that like a vintagey looking stove, that thing would be very expensive. But if that wasn't a vintagey looking stove, but was indeed a stove from the 1900s, how did that pass inspection?
You know what? A long time ago, they built things to last. So
that's true.
You know, maybe it's still good.
Holly, Ivy, get in here and bring some coal.
Put them to work. Yeah, no, I for the most part, I guess since we're kind of talking about Melody, I liked her character for the most part. She did talk a lot about libraries, which drove me nuts, but that is a big aspect of her character. But I thought it was kind of nice that her name was Melody, and she was going to become the future guardian / I guess future mom of these two little girls, Holly and Ivy, because Holly and Ivy is a Christmas carol. So it made sense that her name would be Melody. So I guess making that connection ties the three of them together. I don't know where the Adam character comes in. I don't know how that could connect.
If I'm being honest, just on a bigger, like, where does the Adam character come in to the metaphor? But I think even the movie, Adam felt a little bit, and this is maybe a controversial statement, a little bit like a random add-on to this movie. It was like they were making this movie, and then Hallmark was like, but where's the romance? And they were like, crap, we forgot that. It was a lot about libraries and a lot about adoption and not so much about romance. And they were like, okay.
Well, they
she'll
did
meet-
need somebody to fix up the house, though.
Exactly. And that is where he really shined, I think.
But I mean, Adam was a pretty good character because they did have this connecting point. I was surprised. It is a cheesy. Holly and Ivy is kind of a cheesy little Hallmark Christmas movie, but they did attempt to have themes.
They did,
running through the movie. So sometimes when I watch these Hallmark movies, I'm like, oh, this is very superficial and straightforward. But this one tried to do something. Adam kind of well, it's repeated throughout the movie, the idea of help where help is needed. That's something that comes from Adam and his family, and it kind of goes through some other characters. And let's see, there was also the idea of sometimes dreams just take a little time. I liked Adam's character because he fed into some of those themes where he was kind of paralleling what Melody was going through in life, where they had these big dreams that they wanted to accomplish, but maybe they needed to do the practical thing in order to achieve those dreams, and that they were able to help each other where they could. Like, I liked the idea that he was gonna, help the kids build the little sled ornaments and things like that. Like, I liked that. It was cheesy, but I liked it. So I thought he was a good character, and I think he did fit in well for the story in terms of the fact that Melody's backstory was about how she had been brought into this foster family, and she had a really good experience for 5 years, and then her foster family couldn't keep her anymore, and so she kind of just, I guess, was in the system, and she didn't have a mom and a dad. And so it was nice that at the end of it, those girls, Holly and Ivy, didn't have to go through that same situation. And so I think that fit together pretty nicely for me. It did seem, that whole storyline did seem kind of like a ripoff of Stepmom with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon, but they made it their own. They made that trope their own. So I guess there's that. But I liked Adam as a character. I did think some of the idea of the creation of the quick family, I had a little bit of a troubling time with, I guess, because there's a scene in the movie where Nina, the woman, the mother of Holly and Ivy, she finds out that she has a recurrence of lymphoma, and so she's telling Melody about this situation. And Melody just kind of jumps on the idea that she's going to become the new mom to these kids. And it didn't seem like Melody really put a whole lot of emphasis on, we're gonna get you better, and we're gonna make sure you're okay. She just kind of went immediately to, I guess I'm a mom now. And it went really fast for me. And I'm glad that with Adam, he understood what that was going to require of him. But Melody just kind of went, really fast. So that was one of the aspects of the whole idea of that building that family was tough for me.
I was surprised at like how kind of well that they did that aspect, because it is a little bit much, but they gave her this tragic backstory where you could totally understand how she would not want to see anybody go through what she went through with the foster care system in particular. And I do think that they had like enough characters go, whoa, that's a big, you're taking on a big responsibility. And she was just like, well, yeah, I'd have to. But I also thought that one scene where they're like decorating the Christmas tree and she mentions her lymphoma and how she's worried about what's going to happen to the girls after Melody tells her about her, her history in foster care, when Melody just kind of blurts out like, well, I'll take them. And then they're both like, oh my God, that's so weird. This is the weirdest conversation we've ever had. No, I'm fine. No, you're fine. No, I'm fine. No, you're fine. Like, I wanted to like, just like, disappear into my couch. And it was like, I feel like, not to say it's anything about this movie is realistic, but the awkwardness of that moment,
I suppose that's true,
I think was kind of realistic. I agree with you that there's like almost no talk about, her taking her to doctor's appointments or helping her with the fight. It suddenly becomes like, well, got to get my house ready to adopt your kids. And it's like, Yeah, we're giving up on her a little fast, aren't we?
Yeah, and it is kind of, I don't know, the idea that I was trying to get over at the end of it. I was like, so they're gonna these girls are gonna move into the house across the street from where they lived with their mother, who is now dead. That seemed a little,
It
I
felt
don't
like
know.
there was
I
like
don't
a
know. Maybe those kids are gonna be totally fine with that, but I can imagine that being weird for them.
I think there was like a really strangely dark undercurrent, and like not even undercurrent. This movie was dark. Like even if you think like best case scenario, like they like her, they like Melody, they like Adam, they seem to be open to the idea of having this new family. Their mom still died. Like it's still a tough thing for those kids to go through. So yeah, I thought it was also a little bit like I think it didn't help the movie that they time jumped like a year
Oh, yeah,
later
yeah.
and the mom has passed away in that year and now she's adopting the kids and they're like Merry Christmas and you're like really this is the first Christmas without your mom. You think that those kids are going to be just like let's do that dance again.
Yeah. And
Mm.
so one of the things I was thinking about for myself was debating on whether or not I thought it was the right choice not to show the mom die.
I know.
What are your thoughts on that?
I was also back and forth with that. I almost feel like the movie could have ended before without showing whether or not the mom died. And then just like that the house was ready and like that she was ready and willing to adopt the girls and then just have her have a happy ending with Adam and then we just don't know what's going to happen because in like the 5 minutes they give you at the end of the movie there's not enough time or real estate in this Hallmark original film to deal with the complex emotions of like the death of a parent and like the first
Yeah.
Christmas without them. All they have time for is like people to be happy and do a little dance and like Jeremy Jordan's gonna propose. Oh, he's gonna be dad win for real this time. And like it's like I don't know. Like I feel like those kids are like a couple of months away from being like, you're not my real dad or my real mom, and like doors slamming, you know?
Yeah.
And we don't see any of that though.
No,
they're
that would
just
not be appropriate for Hallmark Christmas.
they're just super happy with their new family. They're just super psyched. Yes, mom died, and that was depressing, but cheers to the memory of mom. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
maybe just leave off before all of that if you want to continue in the Hallmark heartwarming tradition without us going, ooh, like right at the end.
Yeah, I sort of debated it because I thought, well, I get why they didn't because it is a Hallmark Christmas movie, and those are supposed to be, feel good, Christmassy, good cheer kind of movies. So putting the death of the mother in there, at least, or at least have like a scene where, I mean, we didn't even have a scene where she says goodbye to Holly and Ivy. There's nothing like that, and I guess that would definitely have brought it down. Would have been a real downer in the movie.
But
then
I mean,
but
choose
then I
to
also
have this
thought,
movie be about that, right? Like,
yeah. But I kind of thought it would have given some drama to the idea of what they were going through, and it would have made things more impactful for me to see that Melly really realized what she was doing. It wasn't just like I'm with this guy and I'm going to have these 2 kids now and everything on my vision board is coming true. Like, it's her happy. Like it just seemed like it was more of like Melody's happy ending than like the death of this poor woman, Nina, who suffered from lymphoma multiple times. Like,
Yeah.
I guess maybe as a cancer survivor, I was kind of attached to Nina and what she was going through. Cause I think her name was Nina. Is that
yeah,
right?
I think it was Nina. Yeah.
And I was kind of just, I don't know. I was a little bit on her side because I was like, nobody seems to care about Nina very much, and it seemed like it was all about Melody's happy ending instead of like Nina's end of life situation. And maybe that's just because I wanted it to be more dramatic.
And this is probably not the nicest way to say it, but there were periods in this movie where it kind of it felt like, well, Melody wants some kids, so sorry, Nina.
It did feel like that,
right? Am I wrong? Like she's like, I feel like maybe the intention board was like a cursed intention board. She was like, I can't wait to have a family and kids, and like a evil spirit behind the board was like,
I'll make that happen for
what
you.
Wish for.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a weird undertone to that made me uncomfortable.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some weird implications in there that like she got her family.
It was all about her, nothing
Yeah.
about Nina. Yeah, I mean, it was a cute little Christmas movie, and I thought the little girls who played Holly and Ivy were really cute. They did a good job, and I thought the interaction between Melody and Adam and the girls were sweet, and I thought it was a nice story about people helping each other out and being there for each other, even if it was hard, even if it was like, oh, I'm taking on the responsibility of being a mother to these two young girls. What am I going to do about that? So there are parts of it that I really liked that showcase something good about helping other people, and so that's kind of what I came away with, even if there were some moments of it that I was like, ooh, I don't know about this.
Yeah, I liked the theme running through that Melody had a hard time accepting help from other people, and at the end, even though she, gets into the house and does her own handiwork too, um, she does finally accept the help of like her friends and her neighbors and things like that. I thought that was a
She
nice message.
she had her own elves. I thought that was a
She had
nice
her own elves.
callback.
I liked that. I also liked kind of how they set up the characters having these dreams, and I've seen a lot of these kind of like Hallmark original like Christmas movies where like the characters like, that's it, I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna make my own library or like I'm gonna, I'll make my own furniture and I'll just sell it on the side of the road. Who needs money or a place to live? And you're just like, wait, but how does that I'm sorry, this is just me, but how does that logistically work out for you in the long term? Because you have a nest egg, do you have savings to
Yeah.
pursue this dream? And I liked the weird like practical line through this movie, which is like, yes, you can have dreams and you don't have to give them up, but sometimes you do have to work a day job so that you can pay, to upgrade your house and to pay for things and to like support yourself. And that doesn't mean you gave up on your dream. It just kind of means you might have to work a little longer to like full-time pursue it. And like both of the characters kind of have that struggle of, how much do I pursue, work that pays me and how much do I pursue my passion project? And usually in these Hallmark movies or these Lifetime movies or whatever it is, the feel good holiday movies, they're like, never mind the day job. I'm just going to strike out on my own. I'm going to make tiny furniture for elves. And you're like, what's the market for that? You're like, I'm always watching these movies going, don't, like sweating, like, don't do that. Oh my God, how are you going to pay your rent? And this is like one of the first movies where they're like, okay, I'll have my mobile book library and that will be the thing that I do. But also I had this job that pays me so I can support two children.
Well, and I also liked it that they justified some of those dreams. Like Melody has the dream of the bookmobile, but it's put in, the idea is created because one of Holly's friends, I think, her grandmother wanted a book, and so they were like, well, we could just go take it to her. And then she goes over there, and the grandmother's like, well, I have all these other friends who can't go out and do something. And so that at least gave justification why creating a bookmobile in this small little Wisconsin town would be a good idea. Because maybe talking about market, is there like a huge demand for books across this town? I guess there is, because the grandmother had people she could tell about the bookmobile. So I like that they took that extra step. It wasn't just, I'm going to create that idea and do this thing, even though it doesn't make any sense for this current situation that I'm in.
Yeah, I like that they showed that like she could give back to the community in other ways besides the one way that she had kind of like single-mindedly pursued throughout the whole movie, but she didn't have to like give up her whole dream of being a librarian or like bringing books to people. She could do it in this other way. I thought that was really good. I will say there were a couple of comments that they said about ages where I was just like, how old do you think 27 is?
What do you mean? What were they talking about with the ages?
Because I think it's Nina that's like, "Ugh, you shouldn't have to worry about any of this. Like, support. It was basically like, you shouldn't have to worry about supporting yourself or like taking a job that you don't want. At my age, when I was your age, I was
in
dancing on the
Vegas.
tables at Vegas, and I was like, at 27? It's like, honey, look at me. That's not that young. Like, a lot of people start popping out kids that age. Like,
you maybe should have been
be responsible.
Yeah. That's maybe college age, like 20, 20,
the way that
21.
she was talking to her felt more like she was talking to somebody who was like 22, like fresh out of college or something like that, and not like by 27 you are a homeowner now. She bought a house.
Yeah,
like, that was a decision that she made. So like, yeah, sometimes you're gonna have to get a thing that you want. Sometimes you have to do something that is maybe not as pleasant, but that's kind of the trade-off. But she was like, you shouldn't have to worry about getting this job that's actually going to pay you. You should just wander around dancing on tables, throwing out books. And I was like, that's Melody, that's terrible advice.
And it's not like Melody had to go work some job that she didn't like doing. Her solution was, well, I'm going to get this job to be doing some stuff with the digital library space. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea.
That's really adjacent to your interests.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you had to go into some other field and hate your job. You could at least still do something that's related to your field and what you want to do. It's going to be a job that pays you instead of volunteering at Patricia's library where she can't.
Where Patricia does not want you. I can't wait for the spinoff. It's just like Melody versus Patricia Library Wars.
I would watch that. So I guess we talked a little bit about the story. So what did you think about their performances in here? Did you like seeing Jeremy Jordan in something other than just being Windshot on Supergirl?
I did like seeing Jeremy Jordan. I'm trying to think. I feel like I might have seen him in one or two like other things before, but not much. I haven't seen Jeremy Jordan in much, and so I liked seeing him do a different part besides Win. He's got the kind of like funny self-effacing charm, just like Win, but it's not to like the intense kind of like nerdy, nervous energy aspect of Win. He's more of a charmer here. He's like, let me show you the hot chocolate. And like oh, Win's got moves. It's that one move, and it's because they pay him to do it, but it's because he's getting kickbacks from that coffee shop. But yeah, no, I liked him in this episode in this movie, and I thought that he was like, the right amount of conflicted when they had their like, third act argument, as all Hallmark movies must have. Any romantic comedy, they're going to have a fight.
Break up.
Oh no, what's gonna happen? They're gonna be fine. But I thought that he like kind of pulled that through, because when I was watching it, I was like, what is he mad about? That she has to like feed herself and these two small children? But I thought that the performance of him being kind of like, I believed in myself because you believed in yourself, kind of like that pulled me through. And I love Janelle Parrish, who was our Melody, because I watched her on Pretty Little Liars, where she played Mona Vanderwall.
What a name, Vanderwall.
Fantastic names on Pretty Little Liars. Fantastic. But she probably had the best name of all the Pretty Little Liars, and her character is very very crazy. Like, her character seems like it was one way and then like turned to another way, very devious, and like you could never kind of trust her. Like, what's Mona up to? Is she trying to kill you? So this was a very different flavor for Janelle Parrish in my experience. I was like, I kept waiting for her to just like go off and start like, making like dolls of people, sticking pins in them, but she never went in that direction, and I really appreciate it.
It was close though. She could have used the elves.
I mean, with Patricia, certainly. She's gonna get in. Patricia's gonna come into the library one day, and there's just gonna be like a note on the desk, and it's gonna be like, "I'm watching you, A," and it's gonna be like Pretty Little Liars starts all over again in that town, but it's just really Melody sending her messages.
No, what she should do is get like an elf on the shelf and then just like put it all around the library with like a menacing look to it.
There was like a lot of weird dollhouse content in Pretty Little Liars, so the
okay.
elves would have just fit right in.
All right.
I'm working ways of like getting Melody into the Pretty Little Liars extended universe.
So there's some Pretty Little Liars chatting in the live chat.
Oh,
Nicole asked, "Can we add a Pretty Little Liars Weird Watch podcast to the Morgan podcast?
I mean,
Morgan Glennon podcast universe?"
I would love nothing more. There's a bird in Pretty Little Liars that they feed chicken to. Like they feed chicken to a bird. That's cannibalism.
That's
it's a wild show, Rebecca. If I've never recommended this one to you in particular, I feel like you would truly love it because it starts out sort of normal, kind of cheesy ABC Family, and then at some point just goes unhinged. They're also in high school for 300 years, and like the show makes no attempt at like whatever. They're 30, they're still in high school. Get over it. And then eventually they time jump, but of course, because they've time jumped, spoiler alert, but they're all like very, very successcul as you do. It's like 2 years later, and she's like, "I'm a high-powered attorney." It's like, how? She's like, "I got my own fashion line." You're like, "No, you don't." What? It's a great show.
Okay, well, maybe I'll put that on my to watch list at some point. That does sound. I mean, what was her name? Vanderwall?
Mona Vanderwall. I cannot. Mona Vander. It's a chef's kiss of a name. Her performance in that show is legit magic. She's very good. She's very good at playing like very devious. Yes, you would love Mona because you really never know what's going on with Mona. She'll say something to you really nice, and you're like, is she trying to kill that character or does she like that character? I cannot get a read on it. And so this was like the first time I've seen Janelle Parrish play like straightforward, just kind of like a good character with no alternative like plans and plots in the background. I mean, maybe I think she's plotting to take out Patricia. I think Patricia should sleep with one eye open. But I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, I thought all the actors did a good job, and I haven't seen Jeremy Jordan in a ton of things. I want to say I've seen performances of like musical performances of the Newsy stuff. I want to say I don't know, maybe I've mixed that up with somebody else in that role, but I want to say that I've seen like clips of him in little different places, but never like in a complete film or TV show like this. So it was nice to see Jeremy Jordan again. I really like him as an actor. I think he does a good job, and I thought he was really he was a sweet character and a good guy in this movie, and I thought he played well against Mona Vanderwall and the little kids. And I liked there was one moment there at the end when they go snow sledding where he has kind of, I think it's in that scene where he has a little bit of no, they're at the house fixing up the house for Melody, and Adam and Nina have a little moment where they talk about, that I guess Adam's parents like raised him right, and he says something about how he sort of implies that Nina raised Holly and Ivy well, and so I thought there were really good moments for Adam that were really subtle. So I thought all the performances were good. Even Adam's parents. I didn't know who those two actors were, but I thought they did a pretty good job, and I liked the drama between Adam and his father. It wasn't. They probably didn't take that to the full extent of what that could have been, but I thought even those scenes where he's interacting with people even outside of the whole Holly and Ivy Melody storyline, I thought they gave him something as his own character, which I thought was good.
Yeah, it also took me a while to like nail down where I knew Nina from. It was really bothering me, really like a lot. throughout about half of the movie. And then I finally IMDb'd it like a normal person. And I knew, I was like, why am I just letting this? I have a smartphone. So I know her from Riverdale, where
Oh,
she is Veronica's mother. So twist. So she's also a lot more wholesome on this show too.
oh, so that's really interesting that maybe these some of these actresses have a lot of range.
I like that, like the WB ABC family. I don't know, Freeform. The WB Freeform family has like went off and made a movie. They're like, is your show really dramatic too? I love it.
Yeah, it was a pretty good cast, so I will give it that. Before we wrap up with our overall thoughts about Holly and Ivy, we did have a request to do a little maybe not Lena Luthor boardroom because Lena's not in this because this isn't Buttons.
No.
But maybe we should do some boardroom or ballroom about Adam's sweater in this movie.
And now, Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom.
So we did have a challenge put forth to us to talk about which of the sweaters from Jeremy Jordan were better. The one from Supergirl, where he played When Shot, wearing a Christmas sweater with reindeer, versus Adam's really nice white sweater from Holly and Ivy. Morgan, which one would you pick?
Well, these are both great sweaters. Let me start out by saying great contenders. I love everyone in this room. The cable knit, the white cable knit is really great. It just looks great on him. He looks like he's kind of like in a Gap commercial.
He does a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of the vibe I get from him. He's
That's
just
not
like
a bad thing, though.
it's a good thing. Those Gap commercials, they seem cozy. Like those people seem happy. If he jumped over, like leapfrogged over another person in that sweater, I wouldn't be surprised. I would think that makes perfect sense. But the Supergirl sweater it's just more seasonal. It's just more seasonal. It's got the reindeer on it. It's got the red and the green. It's just a great look. Like I like a good like themed seasonal sweater. Like a good chunky sweater is a classic. But there's like a really short period of time where you can go out in something that's got like two reindeer jumping at each other and two reindeer like facing off in sort of a Batman v Superman battle to the death. And and that's really like there's like a pretty small window between November and the end of December when you can rock that thing and you have that, but you have that sweater all year long. You're just waiting for it. You're waiting for that period of time. So I'm gonna give it to the Supergirl sweater because that's a great holiday sweater.
Yeah, I guess if we're going like which one is the better Christmas sweater, it would definitely be the one from Supergirl because it is themed. It does have the reindeer, it does have the Christmas colors, and I do think that's more festive. But if I'm talking about which one I like better, I think the one from Holly and Ivy is better. It fits him better. It looks good. It goes well, I think, with his, I don't know, would you call those burgundy like jeans, I guess?
Yeah,
Are
or maybe like a brown. I don't know.
like he looks good. Like I think that whole look for him is great. So I think
it's a good look. Like you put a nice like coat over that look. And, oh my
yes.
god. Oh my god, sir. Yes, take me to the hot chocolate. Then he's serving you looks.
Yes, if you put a pea coat and maybe like a nice scarf, yes, perfect. So I think if I'm going for like overall look, like which one looks better, which one makes him look better, I would say the white sweater. But if we're going for like which one is the better Christmas sweater, I would definitely give it the one from Supergirl. So that's kind of a tough, a tough judgment there because it just kind of depends on what you're going for, I think. So thank you for going through those looks with me. So even if we didn't have Lena Luthor in buttons, we did have Jeremy Jordan in one shot.
We almost did, but
and Holly and Ivy. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the Christmas sweater discussion. And this has been
Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom.
Okay, Morgan. So what are your overall thoughts about Holly and Ivy? Would you recommend it to the listeners and the viewers of Supergirl Radio?
You know what? I went in, I'm going to be honest, being a little judgmental. I was like, it's going to be a cheesy Hallmark movie. It's going to be kind of like what was the one that we watched last year? A Castle
Princess for Christmas. Christmas at Castleberry Hall, A Princess for Christmas, A Christmas Princess. It's your mileage may vary on the title.
I thought it was going to be kind of like A Christmas Princess for Christmas at a castle. Which fine film, lovely film, love that film. A little cheesy. No one in this movie rapped.
They did dance.
They did dance, but there was never any rapping, and for that alone, I thank them. No, I think I came into it thinking, oh, this is just going to be kind of a cheesy movie, and it was exactly that, but it was more enjoyable, I think, than I thought it was going to be. I think like the writing was pretty good, the story was pretty good. I never got bored. I enjoyed it the whole way through. The performances were good. Like I think they did good casting on it. I think everybody was really strong in it. And it was just like a fun way to spend like an hour and a half. I was fine. I would recommend it to the listeners. I think if you're looking for I don't know if I would call it a feel-good holiday movie. Someone does die, and there are multiple orphans in this movie. I don't know if there would have been orphans in Buttons, but there were in this one. And so, it depends. Your mileage may vary on Holly and Ivy, but I think I want to say it's a fun Christmas movie, but again, that lady dies. It is a enjoyable Christmas movie. It is kind of sad if you think about it too long, but the movie doesn't want to really get into
the movie doesn't want you to think about it too long.
The movie certainly doesn't want you to think about it. And so I suggest that you do what the movie says and you just don't think about it. You watch it, you don't think about it. You see Jeremy Jordan in that cable knit, you see Mona Vanderwall being a librarian, and you just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, I would actually recommend it too. I thought it was a good somewhat feel-good Christmas movie, and that it had a good story with good characters, even though I thought it was kind of a ripoff of another movie I've seen before. It's probably kind of a trope, this The Sound of Music is maybe one of the OGs for this kind of trope. And I love The Sound of Music, so I'm not opposed to the trope, but it did seem a little similar to Stepmom in some ways. But I thought it was a good little movie. I thought it was to your point where you kind of just watch it and go with it, and it's pretty well paced. I mean, right there at the beginning, the editing was like cut. And I was like, oh, well, we're just going to get right into this. Okay.
We're just moving right along.
They're not messing around. Okay. So I thought it was paced well, and the acting was good, and the characters were at least likable to the extent that I somewhat cared about them. So I thought that was good. So definitely recommend Holly and Ivy if you're looking for a Christmas movie to just enjoy, with your ugly Christmas sweater on in front of the fire, drinking hot chocolate. I mean, that's a great way to watch this movie.
A classic. And may I say that I keep wanting to call her Mona. It's Melody. It's not Mona, but she will forever be Mona to me. Melody's I think it was like her yellow jacket. I loved that thing. It was bright, it's colorful, but it went with every outfit. Where did you get that, Melody?
She might have had to use it a lot based on the fact that she had no job, no prospects.
No, she just had that one jacket. But she picked a stylish one. See, when you get good basics, you can really mix and match them in. You can wear them to the hardware store when you get one single doorknob, or where you can wear it to go sledding on your boyfriend's handmade sled. It really it's a kind of day to night ensemble.
Yeah, so good advice. Good fashion advice here on Supergirl Radio. Okay, well, I guess we do have some snap judgments if you want to make some. So
Always.
let's get into it. In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, so before we wrap up our feedback, we're gonna make some.
I'm sorry, I put feedback in there. We don't have any feedback.
Oh my gosh, we don't have any feedback, and I just read it.
I'm not used to not having any feedback, and I
just yell at the chat. Give me feedback.
Let's see. Let's try that again. I'm gonna replace feedback with another word so that it makes more sense.
Sure. Before we wrap up our episode, we need to make some Holly and Ivy related snap judgments. Okay, so would you rather build a gingerbread house or a sled ornament? Which do you want to build, a sled ornament or a gingerbread house?
I'm going gingerbread house because at least even if your house falls apart like mine did last time I did a gingerbread house, at least you get to eat candy.
Yes.
And maybe the gingerbread house, if it's falling apart and doesn't stand up, at least you get to eat something while you're doing it.
Yeah, I don't think my sled is going to have like structural integrity. I don't care how big you are. I don't think the elf is getting down any hill on that sled. So I'm going to go gingerbread house as well because again, even if it falls apart, you have delicious gingerbread.
Yeah.
Also, I've watched a lot of Great British Bake Off. I think we all know that I've watched a lot of Great British Bake Off.
Really? Is that a show you're into?
It's a show.
I would never have guessed.
No, I never talk about it on the podcast. I try to keep that part of my life separate. It's incredibly private, but but I feel like having watched enough Great British Bake Off, but not having practiced much baking myself, I could maybe like channel the spirit of William. And or his definitely real girlfriend in Canada, and I could make a great gingerbread structure. Like they always like come at it really like scientifically, like engineering. Like they're like, oh, I'm gonna put this section of the house in this section of the house. And it's like, I'm not gonna do that, but I think I've got enough gumption that like something's gonna come out of that baking experience.
Now I kind of wish we had gotten to see the Super Friends build a gingerbread house.
I know, missed opportunity.
There would have been science and engineering that would have, I guess, happened with Lena and Brainy. And maybe Kara could have, used her heat vision for something related to the house. So I think that really is a missed opportunity in terms of a Christmas episode. They really could have done something.
You're so close. Okay.
So close.
Would you rather read Trixie Belden and the Secret Mansion Trixie Belden and the Secret of the Mansion, or any of the was it Ronald Dahl?
Roald Dahl?
That's books.
I
mentally put an N in his name, and
it sort of looks like Ronald.
It looks like Ronald, so I thought it was or any of the Roald Dahl books.
Yeah, I've read a good bit of Roald Dahl when I was younger. I don't know anything about Trixie Belden. I do like a mystery book.
I thought it was fictional. Like
I think they're real books. Well, I found them on Amazon.
As I say, you linked in Amazon. So unless they went like really hard on this original movie and published some tie-in books, I think they are real.
Yeah, no, I don't think these are tie-ins specifically for this movie. I think
Could you imagine
real books? I don't know. I think it's tough because I like the idea of a mystery, like a mystery story, but I also like Roald Dahl's books. So maybe I'll pick the Roald Dahl books just because I need to finish like more of his series. Like I read James and the Giant Peach when I was a kid and that kind of stuff. So I think I'd probably get more inspiration. That Roald Dahl was very inspirational. She quoted one of his quotes. So I think I would get more meaning and encouragement out of a Roald Dahl book.
I mean, Roald Dahl has some really good titles. He's got James and the Giant Peach, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is obviously a classic.
Classic.
So, I mean, I feel like I'm going to go with Roald Dahl too, even though I do love the idea of these like mystery books because they kind of like remind me of like the Nancy Drew
Yeah.
mystery books. But you know what? I still get Nancy Drew, and I don't know who this Trixie is, so I'm going with I don't know this Trixie, honestly.
Trixie seems like a rip off of Nancy Drew. She's like a Nancy Drew wannabe.
She's like a lesser Nancy Drew, so I'm gonna go with Roald Dahl.
Why read a Trixie Belden mystery when you could just read Nancy Drew is right there? Why don't you
go
just
ahead and read the Nancy Drew? It's fine. All right. Our last snap judgment is: would you drive a Jeep Wagoneer or the Book Elf van?
Well, it depends, I guess, on what we're doing with the vehicle. Are we
true.
just driving around town?
I guess so.
Because if we're just driving around town, I'm going to pick the Jeep Wagoneer. Because if you're just driving around the Book Elf van, it's going to look a little weird. So
you just stop next to somebody, like walking on the street, open that back door.
That's not creepy at all.
Excuse me, ma'am, would you like a book?
Excuse me, little kid, would you like a book? It's not creepy at all.
Excuse me, have you read about Trixie? This is how we get arrested. I think the Jeep Wagoneer is the safest option.
That's the only thing I didn't like about Adam's parents donating that van. I was like, I get why you would give her the van because it's big, but also it's super creepy. Give her some kind of other vehicle where she could put the books in. That's
she's
weird.
just like driving up on neighborhood children in her van. Come on in. I've got books inside. No, don't go in that van. Don't go in that van. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jeep Wagoneer too because that thing had some sweet wood paneling on the side.
Yeah. You can't really put a lot of books in there though. That would look like a mess.
No, not for books. It's not the right choice for books, but for just like cruising along, looking like you're riding around in like a hunting lodge. That's the best option.
That's the way to go. Yeah,
definitely. So
we do have a snap in the chat.
Nice. You get that because I was just about to do that too.
Well, you do it. You do it.
Okay. So we have a snap judgment from Tiana who says, going back to season 1, who would you rather have in a Hallmark movie? Cara and Wynn or Cara and James?
I always thought Cara and Wynn was a little bit of a missed opportunity because they kind of hinted at it a little bit and then they just dropped it and then they went with Cara and James and then they dropped that. So I don't know. I think I would have been interested in seeing Cara and Wynn explored, at least with Cara and James in season 1. Like I've seen that, but I haven't really seen Cara and Wynn play out.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna go Cara and James because I guess I'm still kind of like, please, why didn't they just give me one more episode just to feel like I had
just do it for one episode,
invested a whole, maybe that could have been like the season 1. It's like, listen, I know that they broke up right away, but really they had this whole Christmas adventure before they broke up.
Oh, that's true.
So I'm gonna go Cara and James because then I can feel like I invested a lot of time in season 1. They built it up. They had this Christmas adventure, this romantic Christmas adventure. And then they just decided that they were better off as friends after the romance. Like I would have paid it off just a little bit more than they did on the show.
You would have a little bit of closure, you think?
Just some closure.
All right. Well, that's a good choice. Well, unfortunately, we don't get to see any of those, but that's a good idea. Maybe in the future we'll get something like that if Jeremy Jordan gets some of his Supergirl friends to be in some Hallmark movies in the future. All right, so I think that's going to wrap it up. No judgments on your snap judgments. Okay, and that is going to do it for our review of Holly and Ivy, the Christmas movie starring Jeremy Jordan that we watched and discussed here. And I think we need to also get to some Supergirl Radio and some DC TV plugs, just in case you're joining us for the first time and you don't know how to keep in touch with us. If you're just here for the Jeremy Jordan movie review, So we are going to let you know how you can keep in touch. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network, so if you also like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Titans, Doom Patrol, Batwoman, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, and the upcoming Green Lantern, Justice League Dark, and Strange Adventure shows, and DC TV After Dark, you can subscribe to the DC TV Podcast Mega Feed on Apple Podcasts. Follow at DC TV Podcasts on Twitter, and like DC TV Podcasts on Facebook, or else. This has been a message from Hope, inhabiting the Flash vessel, also known as New Rachel.
And speaking of the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store, since we discussed a Jeremy Jordan Christmas movie and his Supergirl character, Win Shot, became a Legionnaire, we have Legion of Superheroes merch.
Yeah, so if you are looking for some hoodies, mugs, t-shirts, we've got some Legion of Superheroes stuff in the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store. So please check that out. If you have a Legionnaire in your family, or you're friends with a Legionnaire and they need some stuff, get them something maybe for Christmas. They would enjoy that. All right. And we also would like to thank our Legion of Super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. These people are Michael, Sam, Anne Maria, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Abby Irmgard, Miriam, Cherie, Donna, Nicole, Lizette, and Faith. If you would like to become a Legion of a Super sponsor like those great people, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. We have 4 tiers of monthly memberships, and we appreciate you helping us to keep the lights on. It's something that helps us out and helps us continue doing what we're doing. So you can get the regular free Supergirl Radio once a week. But if you want some, behind the scenes extra Supergirl Radio, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/Supergirl Radio.
And we're going to be talking about a different kind of Christmas movie tonight for the Patreon.
Yes.
If I can tease that.
Yes. I thought maybe I had something in here. Let's see. We're going to be talking about maybe a penguin and a Catwoman and maybe a Batman in there somewhere. So we are going to be doing our quarterly review, the last one of 2021. So if you are a Patreon subscriber or a Patreon supporter, you don't subscribe to Patreon. You support the Patreon, and you do get the quarterly reviews. We will be doing that right after this live stream. So we're going to be talking about a movie that terrified Morgan as a child.
It sure did. This was more of a face your fears kind of situation for me. I didn't bail out at any point of this movie, unlike little Morgan, who started crying and forced her parents to make them leave the theater in the original the original movie.
So I hate to bring up childhood trauma, because if somebody made me revisit E.T., I would be very upset about it. So so I understand how that is. But yeah, so we're going to be doing that for our last quarterly review of the 2021. And you can find me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. And I'm also on the social media platform Vero at Derby Kid. If you don't know Vero, you should check it out. It's a great way to share the things that you're watching and listening to. And you can see if you follow me at Derby Kid, you can see what TV shows I'm watching or movies. You can see that I recently watched Holly and Ivy. So that's a cool way to share the things that you're into, and get to see what other people are watching and get recommendations for things. You can also subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I am still reading through the top critics reviews of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I scheduled the next, I think, 5 of them. So I'm going to try to be consistent in January. Every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to read through a review of Batman v Superman's top critics from Rotten Tomatoes. So that has been a real journey, and it's going to be a long journey. So if you want to come hang out with me live and join the conversation, please do.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. You can also find me as a co-host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. So we don't have anything going on because the hiatus is happening right now, the very short Legends of Tomorrow hiatus. They're really committed to not giving us any hiatuses right now, and that's fun for us because we don't get to do any kind of like bonus or special episodes, basically because we don't have time. However, we did just revamp our Patreon levels, because we were like, let's take a look and let's try to make these levels a little bit more fun. So our $10 level now allows you to have a special exclusive sneak peek into the episode before it drops, because we're going to allow our Patreon supporters at that level to join us on the live stream, kind of like we're doing here at Supergirl Radio. It's probably not going to be faces because we record pretty late and nobody is ready for that at about 10. So it's going to be a lot of voices, but you'll be on here. You could be on live if you're a Patreon supporter, and you could chat with us and we will interact with you. And then our new $15 level, we are going to allow you to promote whatever you want to promote. You just send us your text and we'll read it on the podcast. So that's pretty fun. If you got a podcast of your own that you want to promote, or if you got like a game or some creative project that you want to plug, you can plug away at that level. So we redid the Patreon levels a little bit to make them a little bit more accessible, a little bit more fun. We jazzed it up for 2022. And then speaking of the Patreon, we have a very special Patreon episode dropping sometime this week, which is we did it again to poor Sarah. We cannot leave her or her liver alone, and so we made her watch another episode. Again, Sarah has never watched Legends, and she only knows about it through a haze of alcohol. So we did another drinking game, made her watch an episode of Legends without context, and recorded her reactions to it. This time we did the Bebo episode, the first Bebo episode, not the special this year. We are not cruel.
Yeah, I was listening to the podcast. I didn't watch the Bebo Christmas special, but it did not seem like it was a big hit. It was for the legendary ladies.
Not for us, it wasn't. It was tough for us. So we didn't make her watch that one, but we did make her watch a good Bebo episode, which is the first one. And we got to kind of go back in time to season 3, which was somehow in 2017, which was a scary moment of realization for all of us. We were like, no, that doesn't feel like it was that long ago. That was brutal. So we'll be releasing that sometime this week for our Patreon supporters as our quarterly exclusive bonus episode. So if you are thinking about being a Patreon episode and you're like, maybe Sarah should have suffered for something, now's the time to subscribe.
So just for clarification, if I was going to up my Patreon supporting level,
Mhm.
could I write what I want to promote on the podcast? Like I could write it in my words, and you would have to read it out that way. It would
You
not
would
get
have to.
edited.
Well, so we do reserve the right to edit it.
Okay.
But that's only just to make sure that something is not like inappropriate. Like we're just
Okay.
not going to read anything inappropriate.
I mean,
But
I was definitely going to make it inappropriate, but
if it's funny,
that's good to know.
probably we'll leave it, to be honest. We don't want it to be offensive, but if it is funny, we'll probably read it. We have a pretty low barometer of like what we find. I mean, a pretty high barometer of like what we would what we wouldn't read. We're pretty lax about it. So
Okay, and is there like a word limit, did you say?
you know what? We should probably nail that down. Like I would
So
say,
I can't like submit like 1,000 words about the thing that I'm promoting.
No, we're not going to read your self-published novel. We're not going to read your manifesto of any kind. You're going to want to make it short. Imagine it's like a TV, like a radio spot.
Or like a Supergirl episode description.
Yes, or be like Veronica. That's how I would pitch it. You are the Veronica of your own life. Take the reins and put something in there that doesn't make sense right at the end.
Okay, I will consider this. It's good to know. So we'll see. We'll
It's a
see.
dangerous new level we've just unveiled. We'll see how it goes.
Sounds exciting. Okay, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And this holiday season, look for ways to help where help is needed.
McGurk! I love
Not
typing.
mess with my Google Docs, Meeksy.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Kira. I love that.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. So fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!